Welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. You will hear from industry leaders covering innovative, cutting-edge business, learning, and HR topics that weave current market research and technology into each episode. Our Excellence at Work podcast is hosted by Brandon Hall Group's Chief Operating Officer and Principal HCM Analyst, Rachel Cook.
Good afternoon and good morning. This is Rachel Cook, the CEO of Brandon Hall Group and the host of our Excellence at Work podcast. Wherever you are joining in or watching or listening to us, welcome. And I would like to warmly welcome our guest today. With me, I have Ron Zamir, the CEO of AllenComm. Hi, Ron. How are you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's been a while that you've been on the podcast with me. So we were just chatting. I don't think you joined us since we started doing a video version as well as the audio. So, in today's world, we're trying to share as much information in a variety of different channels that our community is interested in and that can be accessible to them. And then also with us today, Lauren Prisco, the director of AllenComm's Smart L&D Staffing Solutions. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. And I'm excited to see all the work that your team is doing. And we're going to be talking today about Smart L&D Staffing and what led your organization to expand your services to staffing and why that's smart. No pun intended there. Smart L&D Staffing. Also, congratulations to your team, to AllenComm, for receiving 6 of Brandon Hall Group Excellence Awards in 2023. I hope you're going to be sharing some of those examples as well in why you were recognized for your accomplishments and great work. But let's get started here. I think that it's just, I don't know why companies, especially learning organizations, haven't started doing this sooner than in the past, because there's so much expertise and insights that are gathered from applicants, right, during the recruiting process, and then they join the organization, and then what happens to all of that information? And from an L&D perspective, can you share what drove you to expand and kind of have a more of a focus here? Not to say that you haven't, but you're certainly just kind of bring us up to speed what your thoughts are here.
Well, thank you, Rachel. I've been at the helm of AllenComm for over 20 years now. The company has been very focused on helping large corporations scale, innovate, and create greater impact. And we've frankly always done staffing, but we have made a strategic decision to expand it in a way that would be unique to our clients and would fill up a gap in the market. And that's the main issue here, that, in 2020, 21, 22, the industry changed. 2023, AI is coming in, the industry changing again. And we had to find a way to be more flexible and actually serve customer needs that were changing, faster than a project would start and even end. So this year, we Lauren joined us with a deep expertise in staffing and in our industry, and we decided to expand a service that would bring value in 3 critical areas that were not being addressed. Historically, the staffing agencies in our industry come from an IT background. They see staffers as commodities. They're stopgaps to help an organization fill or do something that they're not ready to do. I think that story is gone. What we're seeing now is a need for experts in a specific industry. And we believe that a staffing agency focused on domain expertise, finding the right people for the right job in the right industry, is crucial for our customers. Secondly, it's been very clear that, as companies hire individuals, it's not enough. They also need a backbone. And AllenComm, because we come from the project world, from the change management world, We provide all of our staffers, whatever they may be, with a background of our people and our know-how. It's just been so hard to see how our L&D teams are so understaffed, but we know that as a reality. And we believe that, having a smart L&D staffing, having a staffing function fully focused on the needs for L&D, having a function that brings experts in specific areas is something that the market needs. I know, Lauren, you have some insight on how companies hire has changed. Maybe you can share that.
Yeah, sure. Since COVID, there's been many studies that suggest that there's shortages within the labor force, specifically around L&D, as well as just trying to find the right talent. There's just a general shortage, and with since COVID, there's been it's presented lots of opportunity as well as risk with hiring folks with deep domain expertise and the talent that you need. Uh, the opportunities to hire folks are just it's changed because of the way we work, right? Everyone is the majority of folks are working remotely or at least open to having remote folks come join the team. So that expands, the type of talent you can get. However, it does also pose a lot of risk. What I've seen, since in the last couple of years, as we're going out and trying to recruit and retain talent, is that everybody considers themselves a contractor. Everybody holds, kind of hangs their own shingle, and oftentimes that's just them using that as a stopgap, right? Until they find their next permanent position. There's also a risk with a lot of side hustles now. I've never seen this before, but there's so many folks out there that have full-time jobs and they're looking for contract work. We recognize it because we're so entrenched in the L&D staffing world. So we can uncover that, we can figure that out. The last thing that we would ever do is to place an L&D contractor at one of our client sites that has a full-time job. We know where that priority would be. So given our deep domain expertise in L&D in general, and we know how to uncover some of these, kind of risks with talent, that's part of what we bring to the table.
We've been seeing that as well, that there's a lot of, I don't want to say if it's a lack of commitment or the mindset of some of the candidates that are coming into the workplace. But yeah, there is a lot of influx, and I think that makes it challenging for the hiring managers, for the L&D organization, and then with the level of skills or the ability to scale. It's more mindset sometimes than skills, but it's the aptitude that you are hiring for. And Ron, what were you going to say there? And
it's about access. Any vendor in this industry, for sure AllenComm, that's serving the needs of large organizations, needs to focus on how we can get them to move quickly to adapt to change. The value prop is very simple. Is there a company out there that's focused on L&D? Does it have a network after so many years of working where it has access to all those people that Lauren mentioned? And can it supply those people quickly to meet your need? I mean, it's been amazing when you look at the type of jobs we are providing now, from experts in AI, which of course that's very popular now, but also people that understand SharePoint, because that's being integrated into the learning experience. We're not dealing anymore with projects around, okay, I need an instructional designer, I need a project manager, I need an LMS administrator. Companies are designing integrated learning experiences. The types of people they need vary not around 4 job titles, but now around 8 or 9 different job titles. But getting people that are experts without understanding your industry, the ramp up time for you internally as a company is so high, you are being totally inefficient in the staffers you're getting. And we believe we found a way to shorten those time cycles, shorten the internal investment, the total cost of ownership of a staffer, and provide that person with the whole background of our own performance consultants. Again, AllenComm is not a staffing agency trying to do projects. We're a company that's been focused on large scale projects, change management, and now trying to help companies get ready for those projects by providing staffers early on in the process before they're ready for the project. But more importantly, provide them with the teams they need after we leave the scene with our teams. But in a sense, when we bring our staffers to our clients, we're not actually leaving the scene because those staffers have access to our expertise. And we think when we call it smart L&D staffing, that smart is a very critical part because there is a smarter way to do staffing, and that change is so new, and we're up to the challenge of expanding our staffing services to meet that challenge.
Can you share some of the examples or client work that specifically covers, how you're able to execute on this?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll jump in. But just to give you a little background on myself, I've been in the industry almost 30 years, and I've done everything from a e-learning developer, facilitator, project manager, and executive for many years. That background plus. I have hired staffing agencies before to fill and ramp up my professional services teams. I've actually placed, obviously what we're doing here is placing and working with our clients to find exceptional talent. But I've also been a contractor myself. So what we do at AllenComm, the process we go through is something kind of leveraging all of those different pieces, right? We know how contractors think. We understand what our clients need, and we have access to exceptional talent. So we've been in business, as Ron had said, for over 40 years, and we have hundreds and hundreds of awards, many of which came from you. But also because of that, we know how to recruit and we know how to retain talent. So that's what we're bringing to our clients. In terms of a couple of different examples, we have so many, whether it's a true temporary need. We have a bank, for example, that had an audit. So there was some regulatory training that needed to take place before the end of the year. Instead of hiring somebody and teaching them on their systems, we were able to quickly identify L&D folks that had experience with banking, so they understood terminology and kind of the flow of what they were looking to do. But we also identified the skill sets, folks with the skill sets, which happened to be a very obscure authoring tool. So, we were able to turn that around and give them candidates for consideration within a week. And we're also, because we know L&D, we know the questions to ask about the skill sets to candidates. We do a lot of pre-screening. We're not just looking to align titles. We're really looking to align those skills and the domain expertise so that it's really tightly aligned with their team.
Yeah, I think that connection that Lauren was talking about between the day-to-day efforts of an L&D group and their need to adapt change or to meet a new deadline, if it's a compliance deadline, if it's an AI imperative, if it's something that they weren't planning to do and they don't have the staff to do it. I mean, we've had, since expanding our services, the contracts we've signed have grown, 300-400% in this area. And it's not based on, I think, our marketing, even although marketing has a big deal, but it's based on that when we go to an existing client that's used us or even another company, one of the big 5 consulting companies for change management, the project is done. Now they have to support that project. Now they have to add to that project, and often they're not ready to do that. And there you come in, like Lauren said, with a company that understands how these big projects work. Again, we started from there, but can identify the missing component that they're looking for. I mentioned the SharePoint example. I never thought that we would be looking for L&D people with SharePoint experience. Yes, if you look at how learning experience design is happening, that is a need. That's a new job. AI is sexy, but there's a lot of heavy lifting as companies need expertise in specific areas. We have examples from the pharmacovigilance world. We have examples from insurance companies that have been using us and plenty of other vendors, creating new leadership, new onboarding. But now they need, a project manager that understands performance consulting, that understands job task analysis. When you start slicing and dicing what our market needs in 2023 going into 2024, 2025, it needs experts in really specific areas.
Just your point on we need experts. So in today's environment, how do we create, or how does someone become an expert when those skills or the directions changing so frequently? So, and I know you have an answer for this. How how do you advise, because we also see a lot of content people that are in the profession that are, perhaps a little worried about where the future's headed, and especially if they haven't embraced technology necessarily as it's coming at us.
I would love to answer this one if you don't mind. I have two examples that I think are perfect. We have a client right now in the construction industry where they're growing and expanding tremendously, and they recognize the need to have a formal learning and development function within their organization. They've never had it before. It's always been ad hoc, or maybe pulling in some vendors or sending some folks to outside training for leadership, for example. But they recognize the need to bring that in-house as they expand. The vice president that was put into that position admittedly did not have a lot of experience with L&D. They know they need a staff of about 18 people over the next 12 months or so, within the next 12 months rather. So instead, we started talking about what their needs are. They were originally coming for a project. But really, it came down to you need to have the right people in place. And during that time frame that we have these folks in place, he's learned. The vice president is learning. He's understanding what the L&D function should be. So we're placing a staff there for him, but we're kind of helping him guide it along until it matures and he can take over that function with confidence. So that's we're the ones that are finding the talent. He didn't know how to find the talent because it's very difficult if you don't understand what the competencies and what the roles are within L&D. That's for an emerging organization that's growing, that doesn't have that expertise. We're providing that entire team, if you will. One other example, we have a client that has made that commitment to AI. They have a tremendous amount of content. They put out a lot of off-the-shelf content, and they're trying to keep up with the trends. And they see the advantage of AI with content development and maintenance. And they were asking us for instructional designers that can work with AI to produce all this content. But again, we're recognizing more of an opportunity to make a business impact instead of just providing them with designers to use these tools, which have known risks and opportunities. Instead, what we're doing is we're providing them with a very senior level AI consultant that focuses on learning and development. That's it. How do you take this content? How do you make the tools learn your content? So that they can be smarter. And so it's not just about creating content with AI. It's how to really make them work smarter. And the innovation that we're bringing to the team is much more than just providing an instructional designer.
Yeah, I think the key is to be smart, Rachel. It's to be smart, right? And Lauren mentioned the dynamic that by bringing in people with expertise, you're helping train your internal team, right? It's a relatively fast mechanism to innovate, but I wouldn't shortchange the younger people that are entering our industry. I'm talking about as an old person now. People that have so much access to new information, are motivated, to learn prompt engineering, right, are motivated to go beyond that one tool they were taught when they did their master's, but now they're using 3 or 4 different tools to gain acumen in BI, business intelligence systems. These people are out there, and sometimes you need a little help to find them. But we've had and will have situations where people, we bring in staffers and the organization hires those staffers, and that's fine. Again, our game is a very broad game. AllenComm services the needs of L&Ds across the life cycle of getting ready for a project, doing a project, maintaining that project. And I think expanding our services in a big way to include the work we do traditionally, but also start doing more of what we believe is a growing need in the market is a critical path, not just for our success, but for our client success.
All great points. And going back to the expertise, and I think having the ability to give them the staffers, especially from a learning perspective, when depending on the business, the industry, you may be an expert there. It's just kind of like a manager. You may be a great salesperson, but you go into a management role. Those skills don't necessarily translate unless you have the scalability and the aptitude to do so. So having the ability to have access to learning professionals or staffers, and then marrying that with the business and the opportunity to help the business grow, that's a great partnership. And especially in today's environment, and even though we've been having this conversation 10 years ago or 20 years ago with the concern of how do you scale and how do you be agile and how do you grow, it's kind of sometimes the same conversation. However, the challenges change and the parameters change. And so having the experience and having the ability to be in the position where we are now in this journey, it gives us an advantage to help companies, to help them understand, whether they're just emerging or more mature, because even more mature organizations have some of the similar challenges maybe an emerging organization with. You think a big company has all the resources, not necessarily. And also depending on how they're siloed or how they're integrated, that offers another set of complexities that you have to deal with. And so I think that again, what you're doing is great, and being able to help the L&D profession from end to end to help them offers a lot. Is there anything else or any other predictions where we're headed? I love asking this question too. We have our predictions book coming out, and we're always asking L&D professionals, where do they think the industry is headed? Whether it's a year, 10 years, you never know where we're going to have that profound moment, or that what would you predict for the next 100 years? And you don't have to answer that necessarily.
We like to look 5 years ahead.
Okay, not 100. Is that's
no? I think if I look at my 20 years at Allen, I could definitely spot 5-year waves. And the first thing I'll say is we can predict change, and it's not. I know it sounds a little trite, but if we've known something as L&D professionals, is that we have to adapt to change. So that's the easiest prediction. That if we as a company can help our customers adapt to change, it's a win-win for both of us. That's number one. Number two, there's no question that a typical L&D professional, and I include myself, I started in the industry as an instructional designer. We have to be a lot more open to adopting technology. And now it's AI with prompt engineering. Tomorrow it's going to be, using more virtual reality as a way to communicate internally and externally in a scalable way. The next day it could be, having to, train not just human employees, but train, non-human employees, and getting them smarter and better at what they do. That's just the next stage of AI, right? So we can meet up again in 5 years. I know we'll meet beforehand and see how, did we pick the right predictions, but I can predict change. And if you're going to be a vendor in this industry, if you're going to continue a 40-year positive track, you have to set yourself up to help your clients change. And that's, when we talk about scale, impact, and greater creativity in the L&D function, it's predicated on being able to be a partner for change. So, I would say to my fellow L&D professionals, tighten those seatbelts. I think they've been tight a long time. Keep tightening them. Things will change, but the future is going to be really good for our profession. Because I think now there's no lag time between a company's success and having an employee base that can drive that success. Technology is a mediator, but that mediation is getting smaller and smaller as people integrated with technology drive change rapidly, not just for themselves, but for the company they serve. So it's going to be a good 5 years in front of us.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Lauren. It's been great having you here and sharing your expertise around L&D and staffing and the examples that you are providing to your clients and partnerships. You are providing an end-to-end solution to helping them scale and be able to grow and to be able to be sustainable in this environment. And that's what we're all thriving for. So thank you for being a leader in the space.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Rachel.
Thank you.